Welcome to episode 12 of Secrets of the Universe, Walking the Conscious Path with Steve Hasenberg. I'm Greg Agnew. In this episode, we're talking about Earth School, what Steve calls our sacred holy place. Steve?
So Greg, in the last video we talked about the rare earth theory. We also talked about the absolute preciousness of being born as an original blessing. We talked about the experiences that people have when they leave their ego and move into their soul in the near-death experiences. And in earlier videos, we talked about the rituals and the sacred qualities of early traditions, early ancient traditions. I'm trying in the best way I can, because I've begun to have these experiences of holiness. Holiness being an emptying out of yourself. It's not the ego thinking it's holy. It's not the ego thinking it's special. It's the ego dissolving and realizing that it's more one with everything rather than separate or divided from everything. And because I'm having these experiences of unity, of interconnectedness that I talked about in the last couple of videos,
Right.
I am seeing this place as an Earth School. Now, Earth School was a term that first came to me when I began reading about near-death experiences about 25 years ago. And the individuals that had those experiences, almost to the person, would say that the Earth is a place of learning. The Earth is a place of growing. And so I began to adapt that idea, but I wasn't living it fully, and now I'm living it more and more fully. I wanted to start with a quote because I carry this around with me, and it's, for me, one of a profound philosophical idea that for the person who wrote it, it wasn't an idea, it was an actual reality. And we're heading to that reality in this series. It's like we're on a little spaceship and we're going to a planet, and this is kind of a new Earth, a new planet where people understand the preciousness and sacredness of themselves and where we are. And then we begin to learn how to treat ourselves. That will be the next group of videos. How do we treat ourselves here if it's a sacred place? How do we treat ourselves here if we're actually eternal souls having a very dramatic experience? So this kind of sums it up beautifully. And it's from somebody by the name of Shams. And Shams was we could say a wise man who was Rumi's teacher. Most people will know Rumi,
Right.
One of our favorite poets, and this was his teacher. And this is what he had to say. Whatever happens in your life, no matter how troubling things might seem, do not enter into the neighborhood of despair. Even when all doors remained closed, God will open up a new path only for you. Be thankful. It's easy to be thankful when all is well, but a Sufi is thankful not only for what he has been given, but also for all that he has been denied.
That's hard for humans, to be thankful for
Right.
what's been taken away or what you don't have. That goes against the way we want to act.
Isn't it, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
What do you make of that statement, Greg? I mean, if you could be thankful for what you didn't get, the attitude would be so different,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you're seeing that everything is given, and in the giving, some things are withheld. Why are things withheld?
And is that a gift, that things are withheld or taken away?
Right. So the Sufis see it as a gift. I can also say clearly that the old sacred traditions also see it as a gift. We could say the NDE people see it as a gift. Because a loss, let's say something that you lose, something that isn't given, something that you want desperately, that you don't get, what does it cause you to do? This is how I talk to my clients in the office, right? It causes you to go back on yourself. You can stay angry. You can become bitter. Ernest Hemingway had a beautiful quote. He said, "The world breaks everyone, but some become stronger in the broken places." You go back on yourself. You realize that this loss, my loss, let's take me, let's make it real. My loss of my business, my loss of my body, my loss of being able to walk, my loss of being able to talk, it threw me back on myself. And it forced me to find parts of myself, capacities that I didn't know I had. Resilience, biggest one, resilience, patience. Every day I would wake up and I go, please have it be gone, please have it be gone. It was there. Months would go by, please, I can't live. It would still be there. A year went by, 2 years went by, I thought it's never going to end. But every time it would throw me back. I would have to be even more patient. I would have to be even more humble. Big word. I had to be so humble that I would go to work and not know how to do therapy and still go there for the people who were left.
Right.
Most people left. Some people stayed. I didn't have much to give, but I needed money and I forced myself to go. And I was pushed into areas that I never thought I had.
Did you actually reach the point where you were thankful?
I reached the point where I was thankful after it was over.
Okay.
I want to be totally honest about it. I was not thankful while it was going on. In retrospect, it was, wow, this really deepened my character. And so I want to say to the people, to everybody, having been through this extraordinary, they call it in literature the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul means that you're taken down. You lose
as low as you can go.
You lose it all,
yeah.
Right? You lose everything that was dear to you that you took for granted. You're at your bottom, wherever that is, and then it goes further down, and then you go, it can't be any worse. Feels like hell at times, right? Even though we're saying there is no hell. So you go down that far, and you find a treasure at that bottom, and maybe you find it later on. I found it as it was leaving me, because every day was a survival. So I want to say to the people who are listening that it's an honor to be human. This is not something we think about. It's an honor to take a human birth. They talk about this in India. It's a great honor to go from that soul realm, that timeless realm, to take a human birth, because the possibilities of growth are the greatest.
So you decide, I'm ready. I'm ready to be born now.
I don't know exactly. I don't remember yet.
Right.
When I do, I'll do a video piece on it. I don't remember what happens, but I've been to that realm in lucid dreams. And that realm is exquisite, just as it's described. And there's free choice. And one can come back to earth. The sense I have is you come back to earth because you see what could be done. It was like the life review. You see, oh, I could have done this more. I could have stayed with that woman I divorced. If only I hadn't been so egotistical. I could have loved my daughter more. I could have been successful, but I was afraid of my own, whatever it would be.
Right.
This is part of the human drama.
Do you try and do that consciously now? Look at different stages of your life and go, well, I could have done it this way. I could have chosen to be more patient, more loving.
In some way, that is what I did. It's funny you bring that up, because a lot of that 3 years, and even before that, I've always been somebody who worked on myself, whether it's been in therapy or spiritual pursuits. And so I've always worked with my fears. I've always worked with trying to resolve conflict. I've always looked back in retrospect and said, wow, even we have an argument with our wives. How long do we stay in that state, right? I've gotten better coming out. I mean, in the past, if I go back to, years ago when I was in my 30s, I could stay in a mood for weeks and not recover from it because I was certain that I was really victimized.
Right. And that you were right.
I knew I was right. That goes back to egocentric. I was right, she was wrong. Maybe we would break up. But then, as you get older and you work on yourself, you begin to realize, well, do I want to be right or do I want to be loving?
Right.
So being loving becomes more important than being right. Being loving becomes more important than having your ego dominate you to the degree that it takes control over your life. So I want to say to people that the earth experience, as we've talked about in these last 2 videos, is one in which things are denied, things are given, your talents are expressed, you can't express your talents, you have business loss, somebody dies, somebody is angry at you, you hate another. All of these things are part of the drama, the experience that taken as a whole is in its essence pushing you toward being a better human being a better friend to yourself, learning to deal with your fears, learning to communicate with more articulateness, learning to be more still inside of yourself, learning to have greater patience. All of these things are pushing us toward our wholeness, our love, our completion, our true self. That the whole earth adventure, as courageous as one has to be here, and as many times as your heart is broken, overall, it is a sacred, gorgeous, precious, dramatic, playwright's experience.
You've said the Dalai Lama has decided he's not going to come back anymore. He's done. He's learned what he needs to learn. Do you think we all reach that stage? At some point, we know that we have graduated?
Well, that's good. So let's say that would be. I think he's. I've watched him a lot, and I think what he's talking about, at some level, he's a little fed up with the Chinese, because the Chinese are selecting their own Dalai Lama when he leaves.
So there were 2 of them out there. There's the one the Chinese selected, and then the one...
Yeah, the Panchen Lama is the Chinese selection.
Right.
And they want to control that Dalai Lama. And then there's the real Dalai Lama, and he says, well, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I'm getting a little old, right? Do I want to go through this again? But on another level, when we're talking about the larger journey is the journey of self-realization. The larger journey is the journey of personal freedom. And that larger journey brings with it certain kinds of completion. So you could get to a place that you would have so much love that, well, whatever happened would be fine. You would kind of be finished, let's say, with that particular play. That would be done. And you would leave and go to the other side, and you'd be a being of light once again. Not that you aren't now, but you would be completely aware of that. I mean, what's happening to me, I'm not at that place yet, but I am more and more aware of being this being of light. I close my eyes and I see light. So this light now is becoming more of who I am rather than my ego.
So if you went through that illness again, do you think you'd be able to handle it in a different way now, knowing what you have coming through it?
Once again, a superb question, Greg, because it brings us to where we're headed in the next video. And where we're headed is how to really work with yourself in so many different ways. Once you know that you're in a sacred, rare earth, brought to you by your soul, that in the essence, in the center of you, you are love. In the center of you, you are timeless. How to begin working with that. So, the true answer to that question is that I got sick because I wasn't completing certain things. And that illness brought me down through the dark night of the soul to a place where I had to face myself or kill myself. I decided to face myself and stretch me out, open me up, open my heart more and more and more till I didn't even know how I could open more toward myself, such that I wouldn't have to have the illness again. The circumstances are there, and we're going into this next time. Carl Jung has a great quote. He said, "Those thoughts and feelings that you don't allow into the conscious mind come back to you from the outside as destiny." Mm-hmm. So this destiny are ways of helping us realize parts of ourselves that we couldn't realize other ways.
Wow. So that's in episode 13. Thank you for watching episode 12 of Secrets of the Universe, Walking the Conscious Path with Steve Hasenberg. I'm Greg Agnew.